Hello, everybody. Daniel Spatz from California. Daniel Spatz interviews today, giving the welcome Prisha Vyas. She's a WTA player from USA, and she's in Spain right now, training and trying to climb in the rankings. So I love to learn and to get to know new players. Prisha is there, so I'm gonna give her the welcome. Hey, Prisha, good morning. Good night for you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure and thank you for accepting. And as you know, I'm always supporting women's tennis and young players, junior players, top players, former champions. Everybody is on my channel.
Yeah, yeah. You're doing a great interviews. I saw your last one, so I'm really happy to be here.
Thank you. But you understand Spanish?
Yes, I do. I understand Spanish and I'm learning more Spanish, but talking is a little bit hard for me, but hopefully next time I could do the interview in
It's
Spanish.
perfect, perfect. They are saying "Vamos, Prisha," everybody.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. And as you know, the interview later will be in on my YouTube channel. So, where are you in Spain right now?
Yeah, I'm in Barcelona right now, and I've been living here for the last almost 2 years now, training and playing on the tour the last year, futures like 15K and 25K. And yeah, I'm really happy. I really made Spain my home.
Wonderful, wonderful. How much longer are you planning to stay there?
Right now, it's indefinitely. Like, this is my base, and I'm training here. My coaches are here. So, yeah, I'm here for a long time, hopefully.
So you have a private coach working with you?
No, I'm part of a tennis academy. It's a small tennis academy in Barcelona called Next Level. And yeah, I've been in the same place since I came here. And yeah, I'm really happy with the team that I have.
And what does it take to get to the next level?
Yeah, that's the question that everyone has, and everyone's trying to look for always. But for me, it's just coming every day and giving your 100%, even if you don't feel good. Of course, everyone is human and you can't feel good every day, but as long as you give your best, whatever you have on that day, you can get to the next level. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Going back to you are American, but your parents are from Iran, right?
No, from India.
India, sorry. And they live in New York and the USA, or are they in India?
Yeah, so they live in New Jersey, and that's where I was born and that's where I was brought up. So they're there, and I also have a younger brother too.
How old is he?
He's 19.
The,
Yeah, and he's in college now, but doesn't play tennis professionally or in college, but for hobby of mine and his since we were young.
wonderful, wonderful. And how old you were when you pick up a tennis racket for the first time?
Well, for me, have a different story than traditional people. I started when I was 12. So before that, I was playing, well, not playing, but I was swimming competitively and I was playing other sports as well, like soccer, basketball. Yeah, my parents kind of put me in everything and also, of course, studying and yeah.
Wow. So 12 years old, the first time you played tennis?
Yeah, I mean, before maybe I would, like my dad, we live so close to the US Open and we're so lucky for that. So my dad was really a tennis fan and he still is. And he would take us when we were young to go see the players and the kids' day. And that kind of started mine and my brother's passion for tennis. But unfortunately, when we were younger, we didn't have access to courts nearby our house. And in New Jersey, it's a lot of indoor tennis, especially in the winter. You have to pay crazy amounts of money to just get 1 hour. So we were not able to do that. But once we moved, we moved nearby a local court that was public and outdoors for free, and that's how when I was 12 I started there.
What do your parents do for living?
My dad, he works in technology, and my mom, she was working in finance before, and then now she had a cake business, and yeah, that's what she does.
So you fell in love immediately when you started playing tennis?
Yeah, I mean, I was obsessed with tennis, and I still am. Like, I would every time the US Open came, I would always want to go every day to the kids' day to meet the players. And the court, like I said, was 5 minutes walking from our house. So like even if my parents couldn't take me, me and my brother would just go there and just play for fun after school all the time. Yeah, I really, really loved it from the beginning.
You took Prisha, private lessons or group lessons or both when you started?
So in the beginning, it was kind of just practicing with my dad and my brother. And as I really started to like it a lot, and I started to think about maybe I can try to play pro, um, my parents were not so supportive of that, like with the Indian culture that we have, like education is always first, and it's not really seen to be an athlete as a job. So I kind of had to convince them for a few years to like show them that I'm really serious and I'm really dedicated to this. And like I remember some days when I was 14 years old, for one whole year, I would wake my dad up at 5 a.m. in the morning before school to practice because that was when like the cheapest court was available in the winters, the indoor courts. And yeah, so I had to show them that like I really wanted this, and I started winning like the local tournaments in New Jersey, and I never played ITF Junior, so those were the tournaments that I played, and yeah, slowly now they support me. Yeah.
Wow. And when I'm guessing that you're very talented because it's not easy to learn tennis, studying tennis when you're maybe 12. So, but you should be, I guess, athletic, agile, and have good dexterity, good, I guess. So, what was the main thing that attracted you to play tennis in terms of the sport, to be on the tennis court? How do you feel about it?
I, I mean, for me, whenever I went to go play tennis with my brother or my dad, like I just loved the competitive part of it. Like I loved winning and I also hated losing. But more than that, it was just the feeling of like when you play the ball, like I love to hit so hard, and that's something I was working on once I got older, like control the ball, don't hit every ball 100%. But yeah, I love that feeling, and I also like whenever I came into the court, any problems or stress that I had, school, tests, like it would go out of my mind and I'd just be like 100% there. And yeah, I just had a really good passion for that.
How old you were when you played the first tournament?
12.
Or 12?
Yeah.
How do you do? Remember?
I remember my first tournament, I lost 6-love, 6-love. A girl maybe 10 years old, I don't know. But it was a good experience for me to see like, okay, this is what a tournament is. I'm feeling nerves for the first time. I'm figuring out all these things. And yeah, I think within like 3-4 months, I won my first tournament. And yeah, I won a bunch of 12 tournaments after the rest of that year.
And your parents never put any type of pressure on you?
No, like for them, like sports is like second to education. So they were more focused on me making sure that I did good in school, did good grades, and only if I did that, then yes, I can play tennis. But tennis was always like second.
So you never did homeschooling?
I did.
Oh,
So I convinced my parents to let me do that so that I can train full time.
how they
So
how they react? Because you said they were prioritizing the school, the studies.
yeah.
How was their reaction when you told them?
Like, my dad was more supportive because he likes tennis and he was more into that space, so he knew what it takes. But my mom was very against it, and I had to convince her and show her, like, look, all these other players, they're doing that. And if I want to be good and if I want to play pro or even college tennis, like, especially starting late at 12, I need these hours to, get my level up. And yeah, like I said, I showed them through my discipline, and everything that I was doing was all from me. Like, they never pushed me to, like, oh, Prisha, you have to stretch. Oh, Prisha, you have to, go to the practice. Like, it was all from me. So once they saw that, they were like, yeah, okay, we'll try homeschooling and see how it works. So I started halfway through my freshman year in college with an online school called Dwight, and there's a real school in New York City. So I would go there for my exams and things. And yeah, I did the rest of my high school there online.
So did you go to any academy or with a private coach?
Yeah, I was only with an academy mainly. The last year of high school, I was with a private coach, but mainly just in different academies, finding a good fit, whatever fit best for me. Yeah.
Do your parents went to the practice time? They go to watch you practicing, or they drop you off in the place and they left?
Um, my mom would normally take me and she would stay there. Like, sometimes it was far away, so it's difficult to drive
Mm.
there and back. But every time my dad came, he would stay, try to be on the court. The coaches would say, like, no, you have to stay outside. He's the parent that's like always
I do
videotaping,
it.
always showing me the video outfit. And like, Prisha, you have to do this, you have to do that. And I'm like, no, let the coaches, tell
Yeah, but
me.
I will ask you this. How do you feel about it? Because I'm always wondering, I'm going through the same situation every day with some of the parents of my students, young students, but how
Yeah.
do you feel about that?
About my dad.
No, about your parents or your dad being on the court.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's a bit distracting because if they're talking to you and the coach is talking to you, it's too much information. And also, I just didn't like being videotaped. So that whole, like, I would just play different and act different if I saw the camera. So I think for me, the best is like the parents can be there, but maybe not in the court, like outside watching behind the fence or, from the lobby if there's a window, something like that.
But do you think they should always come and watch every session, every practice, every lesson?
Unless, well, I'm not sure. Every player is different in what they prefer. Of course, some players probably love their parents to be there, like for more support, but I think it's important to like sometimes let your player alone with the coach to get that trust, to get that relationship so that they're not always looking, my mom, my dad, like get that connection because it's really important.
Excellent, excellent message. Thank you. Thank you for the message. So, uh, when you went to tournaments, junior tournaments, do you go with your coach, your parents, both?
In juniors, I never traveled with coach. It was all local and my parents would just take me and
Mm.
yeah, watch the match and take me back.
Okay, okay. The transition from you went to college. Are you graduated from college?
No, I just completed 1 year. So I
Why?
went,
Why only 1 year?
so it was like I said, my parents' education is number one, and they always wanted to see me go to college, and I was kind of against it because I really wanted to focus on my tennis. But coming out of high school, I knew that my level was not enough to go pro
Mm.
straight away. And also, I graduated in 2020, so we were in the pandemic and in the quarantine. So there was no tournaments anyway, so it kind of just made sense for me to I took a gap year because even recruiting was hard at that time. And then in 2021, I went to college. And first, I went to Virginia Tech for one semester. I didn't play because we weren't in season. And then I transferred to Barry University in Miami. And that's a Division II school. And the reason I chose that one is because they're Division II, they can recruit straight from the tour. So the whole team lineup was players that used to be 300, 400, even top 150, who have played Grand Slams and have that experience. So I knew, like, I think that's the next step for me. And I went there and I was practicing with them every day. And they're like 10, 12, 10, like 7 to 10 years older than me. And I was able to get a lot of advice and experiences from them and improve my level so much. I think college was really good for me in that year. And at the end, we won the national championship for Division II. And then I decided, okay, like, I really want to go for this and let me go. And I moved to Spain right after I finished that semester. And yeah, since then I've been here.
And how are you feeling nowadays? How close you are or far from reaching your goals?
I mean, you never know. I think tennis is a sport where in one week you can make a huge breakthrough, and in one week you can also lose a lot of ranking. Like, that's the beauty of the sport. Like, anything can happen in one match, and in one tournament. And I think I've improved so much since, especially from college, and then since I came here, especially in Spain. It's a different level in Europe. And I realized that quickly when I came here, and just being in that environment with like a higher standard of professionalism for the sport. And last year traveling the whole year, playing futures and learning from watching other players and how they do things, I really improved a lot. And yeah, I can't say how close and far, you have to ask my coach, but I think I'm on the right path for sure.
Um, if you rally with somebody, right? Uh, have you ever been invited to rally with a top player to practice? Practice with a top player.
Yeah, so okay, I know Rohan Bopana. He just became, I think 2 weeks ago, #1 in the world in doubles. And I met him actually when I was in Barrie in Miami. And I kind of reached out to him for some advice on, the transition into pro tennis. And he kind of became kind of like a mentor to me. And he invited me when he came to Miami Open to his practice. And, I got to hit with him a little bit, but mostly just observe, like, how they do things at the highest level in Masters 1000. And yeah, I mean, besides that, women's players, not that I remember. Not that I remember.
Okay. Um, so the question goes to the practice court because so many junior players nowadays are. I don't know if you've went through the same, Prisha, but it's happening to me. They get easily frustrated when they make errors. Uh, they show very low tolerance to mistakes. So, what advice you give it? You are very young, but you have more experience right now. You are watching the tennis, in another perspective. From what advice you will tell this 16, 14, getting so upset every time they make a mistake in practice?
Yeah, I mean, I was like that, and maybe still in some moments I am like that, but it shows that you care, right? It shows that you care. It shows that you care a lot about this sport, and I think that's also important. Like, if you didn't care when you miss, maybe you don't have that same hunger or desire in the sport, but also at the same time you can't react negatively because it will affect how you play and it'll affect how the practice goes. So I think, the most important thing is to know that tennis, at the end of the day, it's a game of errors, not winners, not aces. It's a game of errors. So you're going to make mistakes. That's the point of tennis. The point of tennis is to try to get your opponent to miss, just like they're trying to get you to miss. So you're going to miss. You have to just accept that. And when you miss, it's like, okay, that's fine. But I'm going to keep practicing until I get more consistent where they can't make me miss that easily. But they will still make me miss eventually. You know, I will still miss. But maybe they can't make me miss as easily.
I'm going to put you in three different scenarios during a match, a tennis match, and I want to learn from you. How do you think if you play a player who doesn't give you any rhythm whatsoever? She throw, a slice, a drop shot, a loopy ball, angle, fast shots. What? How do you do? How do you play those players?
Well, I think the first thing is to be very reactive because they can do anything, you know? The first thing is to focus on yourself. Like, you can't expect something easy, something comfortable. You have to be ready for anything. And then after that, it depends on the player you play. If they're slicing a lot, maybe try to play higher above their shoulders and get them uncomfortable. If they're
Why?
playing,
Why play higher? Why?
you when it's high, you can't make that
Mm.
slice. So they're forced to give you the ball you want, or maybe you're more comfortable with, which is like the normal topspin ball. Or if they're playing high, try to put it low. You yourself try to slice, you know, get them uncomfortable so that they can't do the same to you.
Second scenario, you played a player, a girl who hits so hard, like let's call it Sabalenka's style. How do you deal with that? What would be the right strategy, the tactics?
It depends on first it depends on your game style. If you're able to hit harder than her, that's one way to do it. But obviously generally that's not the case. And also like just mix it up. Don't give them balls in their strike zone where they can kill you. Don't give it short. Try to push them back. Try to push them outside the court. Um, you know, mixing in the slice, drop shot, trying to come to the net when you can, serving good. I think all of these things could help you with that type of
And the
player.
last one, Prisha, you play against someone who just gets everything back. They are human walls, counter punchers, retrievers, the nightmares of most of us. Okay, how do you give us an advice? Give us a solution for that style.
I think for sure you have to play more aggressive. Because if you get into the rallies with them, that's what they like, and they're going to be better than you most likely at that. So you have to be aggressive, try to make them move, try to come in. A lot of those types of wall pusher players, they play a lot of high balls.
Mm.
So when you see that, you have to read it early and try to take it on a swing volley or come to the net. Because if you get into those rallies, like I said, that's what they like.
So you have to be willing to take risks.
For sure.
Okay, okay. And what is your style of play?
For me, it's aggressive. I like to dictate the point with my serve, with my forehand. And yeah, that's how I like to play.
And what are those three styles that I described? And you intelligently help us. Which style brings you more trouble?
I think for the longest time, it has been the pusher player.
Yes.
And, you know, it seems to be the easiest one, but it's always the one that has always, like, I've had problems with. But within the last year of playing so many of those on tour, I've kind of found like a solution, like what I just said, on how to beat them.
How much you focus on your strengths and weaknesses in practice? How is your uh, schedule during practice? this time, Daniel, I work on my strength much time, and this time I work on my weaknesses.
I mean, every day is different. It just depends on like the coaches, they plan my schedule every day and every day is different, but I do spend a lot of time on my strengths, making them better. And then I do also spend time making my weaknesses more solid so that they don't show as much. Like the gap between strength and weakness is not that obvious, you know?
Percentages wise, what would you advise? Strength versus weaknesses in practice. How much of each one?
I would say like 65% strength and then 35% weaknesses. Because I think I've always grown up learning that you should make your strength stronger because that's how you can hurt the other player. Of course, everyone has weaknesses, but if you play the game well, you can play into your strengths.
Okay. But yeah, but if you have any visible, tangible weaknesses, it's going to be difficult, right, to
Yeah.
reach
Of course,
higher
you can't
levels.
have like amazing forehand and no backhand, then it's obvious. But as long as you have a solid base and a game and you have a few weapons here and there, I think just try to make those weapons as strong as possible. But of course, if you have you're double faulting all the time or your backhand never goes in, then you need to work on that first, of course.
What is your favorite drill in practice?
Oh, I just love playing points, to be honest. Like any type of point situations. It doesn't have to be just straight points, but maybe like two cross, change down the line and open the point. I love that type of stuff.
You like basket drills or not?
When I was younger, I really loved baskets. Like in the US, they do a lot of that, and I really loved it. But I like now that I gotten older, I realized that it's good when you're learning technique and trying to feel the ball good, but it doesn't really translate into match play and winning matches, you know? So, and it's not as fun for me. Like I prefer points.
How much time are you spending on serving and also returning serves?
um, we spend like 30 minutes every day on serve and return. And then of course, more time if we're playing points and or if we're doing like serve plus one drills, return plus one drills. Yeah. But I think serve and return is the first shot of every point, and that's the most important thing to work on.
Okay, but you said you only 30 minutes to work on that?
It depends. I mean, it could be 30, it could be more, like
Uh,
for sure 30. And then if you play points, it's more, of course. If you do those drills, it's more. But yeah, it just depends on the day.
and it's very common, frequent for us to get the feedback from our students. Said, Coach, I can't compete the way I practice.
Yeah.
So you have those practice champions in practice, but then when they go to tournaments, they go down, they sink like a Titanic. So how you can fix that? How you can improve that issue?
That's a tough question. I mean, every player's different. Maybe they are having hard time in matches for a confidence issue, or maybe they just haven't played enough matches, or maybe, they have some fears or
Mm.
doubts when they have competition, like fear of failure. What are my parents going to think? What are my friends going to think? What's going to happen to my ranking or my UTR? And I actually, when I was younger, had that same type of thing where in practice I was amazing, and in matches it was a completely different story. So what I worked on a lot is like mentally, building my confidence in my game, what I was doing. I had also like a fear of failure because my dream was, to
Mm.
be a professional tennis player, and I'm the first in my family to try to do that, and my parents always wanted me to do education, and like I had a fear of like, what if I try and I don't do it, you know? But you have to put those thoughts away. Like you can't think about that in the match. You can't think about that when you're playing the point. You just have to focus and try to be in the present moment and just focus on the one shot and the one ball that's in front of you, because that's all you can do. You can't live in the future or in the past. It's not going to help you.
Everybody says play one point at a time.
Yeah.
But once I heard play one shot at a time. This is exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. You can't play a point unless you do the shot. So, and that's all you have in front of you, right? So if you put your focus on moving my feet, hitting the ball with the right acceleration, where do I want to put it? That's all you can do, and that can really help you a lot.
When you're nervous, let's say I'm nervous, I'm telling you, and what would you say to me? Daniel, go for your shots to release all the tension that you have, or just, Daniel, keep the ball in play to get some confidence. What would be your advice to me?
I mean, I see there's a good situation where both of those can work. And I think it just depends on the player that you're working with, their game style, their personality, what they're comfortable with. Also, the time in the match, like if it's towards the end of the set or in the beginning of the match. I think all of those have and play a factor into what you're going to say. But if you know your player is tends to be more of an aggressive player and they're kind of holding back on their capabilities, you can say like, okay, this point, just play free, like go for it. It doesn't matter if you miss, just go for it, you know? And for me, that's what worked, because I was more an aggressive player and I was just kind of pushing a little bit. And if I just go for the ball, then I'll feel more comfortable and continue doing that.
Good. Amir, the father of one of my former students, Rusty, very talented junior player here in Southern California, is asking you, hi Amir, thank you for joining and asking the question, how often and how much you spend on fitness?
Every day, an hour and a half, for sure. For sure. Like, I think fitness is the base for tennis. Like, if you're not fit, especially in the pro levels, you can't really do much, like to beat those girls that are really, really fit and can go hours and match after match without any problem. So fitness is the most important thing. And for me, I do an hour and a half every day.
If you have to advise junior players and parents, group lessons and or private coaching or lessons, what would you tell them? They go 3 times in an academy or 4, or just full-time academy plus some private lessons aside? What would it be for you the ideal combination or situation?
Again, every player is different, but I think a lot of that comes down to your budget, how much money you have to spend, because tennis is also a really expensive sport. So obviously, ideally, to have a private coach and a private fitness coach and everything private, because all the focus is on you. But most people, they can't afford that, you know? And I think as someone who's been in academies most of my life, I think if you find the right fit where it's not just like you're one of many, the coaches actually care about you, they actually want you to improve. I think you can get a good training from just academies. But of course, if you have more budget for tennis and you're willing to spend that money on a private coach, I think that could also be a really good option as well.
Great, awesome. What is your ultimate goal? If you have to say, Daniel, do you have, I guess, short-term goals, medium and long? Are you dividing the goals like that?
Yeah, like I make goals like short term, like 1 year, and then I have long term also. my goal, like since I started playing tennis, is always win Grand Slams, be number one in the world, and that hasn't changed. That has been there now for 10 years. So this is my main goal, but obviously every day I go to practice with my short-term goals, what I'm working on to reach there one day.
And what is your ranking wise? Are you putting any timetable, any limits, any time frame to say, okay, in 2 years I want to be this, in 3 years or not?
No, with my coaches, we don't really do like ranking goals per se because we really want to focus on the process of improving every day and every match, because if you focus on the process, you will get the result. If you focus on improving, the results will come automatically. So if you're just focusing on, I need to be this by then, I need to be this number by this time, it puts a lot of pressure on you, and that can cause some problems in matches if you're losing and you're thinking about, oh, I need to be this ranking by this time. Sometimes it's good. Like I do also have ranking goals, but that's not my main goal.
Financially, how do you hold that? How do you hang that? How do you keep your budget? Your parents are helping you. You have sponsors.
So, right now and up until now, my parents have helped me all my life for tennis. I've had like a few sponsors along the way, like with rackets or with clothing, from Head, from Yonex rackets, and the online school that I was part of in high school, they also helped me like with a scholarship because it was like a private school, so you have to pay money. So they gave me that. But right now, obviously now I'm 22 and I want to give back and help my parents out because, we're not coming from a amazing financial standpoint, and I want to be able to, give them back. But right now, as of now, I'm actually looking for sponsors to help me with my tennis and continue forward. And I'm also on the side, like I've been doing modeling to help pay for tennis, or I'm looking to try to like give English lessons in Spain, and I was doing like some tennis classes to
Nice.
just to help, like because tennis is just so expensive, and now I'm traveling, it's just even more expensive. And yeah, my parents, they can't really pay for everything, so I'm trying to help them as much as I can.
Wonderful. Congratulations. And so, are you having good time with this interview?
Yeah, it's actually really fun. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Me as well. Um, we are playing. You come to my academy or my tennis court, and I'm telling you, please rally with this 16, 17-year-old. Could be a boy or girl, and they start getting upset. We talked about that before, but I want you to put you like a coach right now.
Okay.
Uh, she or he, you rally with them, you rally, and suddenly they start making mistakes and they're getting upset, frustrated, complaining. Oh, what am I doing? Blah, 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 blah. Whining, tantrums. What would you do?
But what I say to them as a coach, like what I told you before, like,
But you are coaching it this time. I'm inviting you, and you are the coach playing with my student. What would be your first advice? You stop the class, you call the person, say, listen, or you keep going. How do you handle that?
I will say, like, you know, tennis first is a game of errors, like I said before. And you're going to be times in matches where nothing is working, you're missing, you're getting frustrated. But do you want to show this to your opponent? Because if you show it, they're going to gain confidence. They're going to say, "Okay, I got you." You know? And maybe they felt nervous, maybe they felt themselves a little bit tight, a little bit scared, but now they see you throwing the racket or screaming. Now they're going to be like, okay, I'm not nervous anymore because I got them, you know? Like you don't want to show that. You can feel it inside, it's normal, but you have to control like your body language. It's really important. So that's what I would say.
So they should understand that they should must practice that, right? So they have to behave in practice like that, right, Prisha?
Yeah, because what you train in practice ultimately is going to be your habit, and what you do as a habit is going to come in the match. Under pressure, you're going to fall back on your habits, and whatever your habit is what you're going to do.
The statement of the interview.
Yeah.
Thank you. I'm leaving right now. Bye. Okay, bye. Okay. To finish this, I want to wrap up the wonderful time with your collaboration with the ITF.
Yeah.
Tell us about that because it's really important what you do, right? How do you have been selected for that? Explain to us what you exactly do for the audience.
Okay. So I was just recently voted to be part of the ITF player panel for 2024 and 2025. It's a group of a couple different players representing all the regions and all the players in the world. So I represent North America and Central America. And it's me and another girl that we represent that region. So I was voted in by, thank you. I was voted in by all the other players on tour. You have to have either an ITF or WTA ranking to vote for me. And I got the idea to join because one of my friends was last year on the panel, and as I was traveling last year in all the tournaments, I saw players complaining about a lot of different things that weren't really being addressed by ITF or the supervisors or the heads of all the tournaments.
What
And
exactly what they were the main complaints? Where were about it? Can you share some?
um, I mean, a lot of it was like had to do with either the conditions of the court, the weather
You're talking
conditions, the
about junior tournaments, right, or professional
no,
tournaments?
professional. I represent the professional
So
players.
the tennis courts not in good shape.
It depends where you go. A lot of some 15Ks are in not so good conditions in terms of courts or in terms of weather in some times of the year, or maybe it's not managed as well as it can be. And there were some complaints that I heard throughout the year like that in different tournaments. And I thought, not just that, but other things like with ranking, with acceptance into tournaments, players with lower ranking, they're complaining because they can't get accepted into 15Ks, which because higher ranked players, 300, 400, are playing those tournaments. So there's those types of complaints as well. And I just saw there's like this kind of need to make a change on tour and just help the next generation of players coming up and make it a more smoother process. So I joined this panel to try to make a change because I'm in this sport now full time, and it's not just only about me. I can just think it's about me and go every day and just say I want to be better. It's just me, but you have to give back also to like the sport. That if you really have a passion, I think it's important to do that and make it a better place for all of us. Like I'm also a player that's trying to come up in the ranking, understand like these frustrations that people have. And yeah, our first meeting is actually tomorrow, so we're going to start to try to make some changes. One recent change was the point structure. So this year they changed the point structure starting January 1st to try to lower the higher ranked players from coming to the 15s and 25Ks. And we're going to see how it works throughout this year and try to continue to make changes.
Fantastic. You're. How much longer are you planning to do that? Do you have any specific time? 2 years, 1 year? In the committee? How is that?
Yeah, so I'm there for this year and next year. And then I can run again to get reelected. But the term is 2 years.
Wow. You watch tennis? You like to watch tennis on TV or?
Yeah, I love to watch tennis. Just the Australian Open just happened, and I was watching a lot of those matches.
Who is your favorite player to watch?
My favorite since I was young is Nadal for sure. I I loved how he played. I always cheered for him over Federer, over Djokovic. Nadal was like my favorite. And in women's, Azarenka.
Azarenka. And what do you
Yeah,
think about Arina Sabalenka's success?
yeah, amazing, amazing. Like her physicality, the way she hits the ball is just incredible, and the level that she showed in the Australian Open, it was really impressive. I was really surprised with that. She seemed like the best by a lot.
Are you trying to take something away from her to your game to transfer something that you admire?
Yeah, I like that. I saw in this Australian Open, she's been trying to like come to the net more and finish the points there, and I think that's really important for tennis in general. So I'm trying to do that, incorporate more of the volleys and the swing volleys. She was doing a lot of swing volleys. So yeah.
Great. What is your next tournament?
Next, I will be playing in March 15Ks in Greece, in Heraklion.
You're traveling with a team, with a coach. How is that done?
Yeah, so luckily for us in our academy, we have like a good group of girls all within the same ranking. So we travel together, and usually one or two coaches come with us depending on how many players go.
Okay. And the last question, topic, more than a question, is about I've seen here in California, um, most of the academies, junior academies, are working with, advanced players, high schoolers. The coaches are just focusing on having, especially the girls, just telling them, instilling to hit the ball hard, 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 harder. Um, what do you think about it? I don't see much variation, creativity in those practice sessions. What is your opinion about it?
I think that I was definitely one of those players in the past, and I think that that game, even you might think in your mind that hitting harder is gonna break down the opponent, but really it's going right to their strike zone, and it's the same ball every time. So maybe in the beginning of the match they're gonna have like struggle with your pace, but after 2, 3 games they're gonna get used to it, and then they might win, you know? So you have to always change it up. And now in women's tennis, you see a lot of players coming up with variety in their game. Anj Jabeur, Ashley Barty, these players that use the slice well, that come to the net, use the slice serve wide, and just change their game from like the Sabalenkas and the Azarenkas of the tour that we've seen for so many years, like Serena just banging the ball. Like that is one type of game, but even those players, they do mix it up. Like I just said, they're coming to the net more. Even I saw Rybakina coming to the net a lot more now. So I think that variety is very important, because if your game style is not working, how are you going to change it to beat the player? You can't keep doing the same thing. So you need those options in your game to, okay, this doesn't work, let me try this, let me try this. But if you don't have those options, how can you adjust?
Perfect. So you would advise those coaches and players to do everything, right? When they practice.
Yeah, for sure. Slice, volley, I think those are really important.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Prisha. It was a pleasure having you. We learn a lot. You're very
Thank
intelligent, thoughtful, young girl. So I wish to you the very best.
thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you. And before you leave, give to all the junior players, junior college players as well, aspiring professional tennis players. They dream to be pros. And the parents, something, a message to them. What would you tell them?
I think learning from me and using me as an example, it doesn't matter how late you start in tennis. I started when I was 12, and for the longest time, people told me, like, you can't play pro, you can't even play college tennis. Like, you didn't start at 8, at 7, when everyone else starts. And I think the most important thing is, like, it's never too late, you know? It's never too late to go after what you want if that's really what you want. So, yeah, as long as you work hard, as long as you are disciplined, determined, and have a good work ethic, and you most importantly have to believe in yourself. But I think, and you can do anything if you do that.
And before, thank you guys, before I let you go, a message to the parents who are putting the little ones 7, 8, 9, 10 years old in tennis lessons, and they feel and dream about, oh, my daughter, I want my son to get a scholarship or to play Wimbledon one day. What would you tell them? Not the kids, because kids are kids, to the parents, only the parents of those players that are obsessed and with the tennis. And since, kids are very little.
Yeah, I think I would just tell them to relax. Like at the end of the day, you have to relax. Like you're not your kid, and you can't live your dream through your kid, you know? So if your kid really is showing that they want to do it, that's great. Support them, do that. But if you're trying to pushing anyone into anything, maybe it'll work for a few years, but at the end of the day, it's not going to be good for anybody. They're not going to enjoy, you're not going to enjoy, you're going to fight a lot probably, and at the end of the day, you're not going to have a good relationship with them. So I think like let your kids try a lot of different things. Like that's what my parents did, and try many sports or whatever it is, and whatever they stick to, then support them on that.
And I have a friend who leads a women's league, a big group in Argentina, South America. Have you ever been in South America, by the way?
Yes, I have. I've been to Colombia. It was one of my first futures tournaments, and that's where I got my first point. So, yes.
Nice, nice. I hope you visit Argentina one time.
Yeah, I really
So,
want to.
yeah, so uh, she is leading a big group of ladies, adults who play tennis, social tennis, of course, competitive, but social. What would you tell these ladies if you have to run a clinic? What would you tell them to do? Because they like to improve, but they just play for fun, basically. What advice would give it to them?
Have fun, that's why we all play tennis, right? It's fun. So have fun, don't take it too seriously, make friends, even with the opponents that you play, talk to them, make friends with them, because at the end of the day, you all have the same passion, Have fun, and tennis tips. I don't know if that's what you're
Keep
asking,
keep
but
keep the ball in play.
yeah, don't miss. No, yeah, just try to move as well as you can. I think movement is the most important thing.
If you would look, this ball is broken for my dog. If you would have to talk to the ball, what would you tell the tennis ball?
I don't know. I would just try to hit it as hard as possible, probably.
She's gonna be scared of you. Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I would
Okay.
just be like, please don't go out. Like, just please go in.
Okay. She will come to you now.
Yeah.
Okay. Prisha, thank you very, very much. It's going to be uploaded on my YouTube channel soon. I will share the link with you and you can share with your parents. This is going to be the lucky one for you. You will see.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Stay in touch and hi to everybody at the Academy and your family. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
Thank you for having me.
everybody. I'll see you next week. Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.